Well, g'day everyone and welcome again to TopBetta's Spring Carnival preview show. We're joined once again by Australian Bloodstock's Jamie Lovett. And Jamie, a mixed weekend for your runners last weekend, but there's plenty on the back up this weekend.
Yeah, no, look, I think the wheels fell off to a certain degree last week. We went in with pretty high expectations, but Big Duke I thought was, on face value, was disappointing, but he did pull up a little bit short, so I think he's got a genuine excuse. So we're just hoping for a little bit of cut in the track tomorrow at Randwick. If he brought his form through his autumn campaign to Randwick tomorrow, I think he's a top 2 chance.
All right, and also Articus, who was in the same race in the Naturalism, he goes around at Morphettville on Saturday.
Yeah, he was very disappointed. I can make no excuse for him. He's down. It's a set weight race in Adelaide, down in grade. If he doesn't turn up tomorrow, he'll go to the paddock. He just hasn't switched on at all. As I say, can make no excuse. But again, if he brought his first couple of runs to Adelaide tomorrow, he'd be hard to beat.
And so if he was to win in Adelaide, where would you send him afterwards?
Look, he could. Obviously, we've got to get him back winning, but he's a horse that could run in a. There's a race on Melbourne Cup Day, 9 furlong race. Probably lowered our sights a little bit now because he's just disappointed. Last 2 starts, to be fair, probably haven't been where we need him to be. So jury's out on him.
Okay, now just back onto Big Duke, obviously in the Metrop. Was that the plan to send him to the Metrop, or is this a bit of a, you were perhaps disappointed last weekend and he needs another run?
Yeah, look, Darren was very big on, particularly these old geldings, travelling them sort of switches them on a bit. A little bit disappointed last week, but again, to be fair, he pulled up very short in his action, so he felt that hard track. Just talking to the guys at Randwick, there's a really good grass cover on the track at Randwick, so if they get any of this rain, or if we got a little bit of juice in the track, then he'll let go. So as I say, I think if he could bring his autumn form, then he'd be favoured in the race, but he's probably just, again, off that last run last week, I guess the punters will jump off.
Is it starting to get to the stage with him now that you just need to see something a little bit more to keep him on that Caulfield Melbourne Cups path?
Absolutely. I mean, look, he's his autumn form would say he could run in a Melbourne Cup, but unless he really, look, it's a $50,000 entry fee into the Melbourne Cup, so unless you're confident they can run top 10, you're better to not go that route. So I would say at this stage he would, if he runs well on the Metrop, he then could back up in the Moonee Valley Cup and then go to the Melbourne Cup, but you make a good point. He's got to really put his hand up now.
All right, now obviously the one the punters perhaps were on last week I should say, was Brave Smash.
Yep.
You did mention that perhaps he wasn't going to be wound right up for the run. He's run second. What do you think of that?
Look, obviously disappointed he didn't win. I thought he had his opportunity to win, albeit he got shuffled up on the turn and was knocked sideways, but I thought Damon given enough time to balance up. He was entitled to win the race. We're really keen to get the blinkers on the horse. Darren, we're very disappointed Saturday night, given that, obviously we're going on Everest with him. But Darren has said now for 3 weeks he's a blinker horse, so we're sort of hanging a hat on that. But he'll go into the Everest now, won't have another run. Blinkers go on, and we're hopeful that you'll see the best of him.
Okay, now one horse we haven't seen for a little while now, about a month, is Tosen Stardom, who's $7 in the Group 1 Sir Rupert Clark on Sunday. Drawn the outside marble though, I just can't draw a gate, this horse.
Look, he can't in the races that we want him to, so we're really desperate to get him to ride him with cover. Blake Shin was very happy with the way he ran when he ran third last start, but we're hoping to get a suck up behind them, but from 16 he's probably going to have to use him up, get across, try and find a spot. I think if you go right back, it's just too hard to make up ground at the moment at Caulfield with the track's been firm, so haven't spoke to Blake yet. Darren's obviously, he'll make a decision how we ride him, but I'd suggest we're going to have to sort of roll across, try and find a spot and just hope to give him some cover. But he's going good enough. Here's another one, Blinker's going for the first time. I think you'll see the best of him if we have any luck at all.
All right, now he's a horse that obviously arrived in Australia some time ago, with a fair few wraps on him, yet to win though. Where do you sort of see him heading, and has he met the expectations you've had of him so far?
Oh, look, to be fair to the horse, he's a son of Deep Impact with a very deep pedigree, so we've probably raced him in 7 furlong races where he was ready for a mile, even 9 furlong. But there's a bit of interest from a few other guys to stand the horse. So to win a Group 1 1400 commercially is worth a fair bit of money to the connections. So you'll notice he was spaced his run, kept him fresh, trying to keep him at 1400. So he's been placed. I mean, he was just beaten the Futurity. Blackheart Bart beat him a lip, Group 1 1400, and then again last start. So in fairness again to Tosen Stardom, he's probably more of a miler, 9 furlong horse, but we've been trying to hold him back. So he hasn't disappointed us, but it'd be lovely to win a good race with him.
Well, a good run on Saturday, what would that mean for the rest of his spring?
I would say he would go on to the Cantala, the Group 1 mile race on Derby Day. He's shown the form around. He's a Group 1 horse, and that's Flemington, big track. It looks ideal for him.
Perfect. All right, now onto the internationals. Admire Juice has arrived this week from Japan. How did he travel, and what's the immediate plans for him?
Yeah, fantastic. Look, the horse, when travelling horses into the country, or particularly from Europe, and this is our first one from Japan, they traditionally lose anywhere from sort of 10 to 20 kilos, and this bloke only lost 5 kilos.
Wow.
He looks bright. If you've seen any of the vision on the TV, he ate up over the last 2 nights. They worked him this morning, and he's full steam ahead. I mean, he's a horse. If he brings his Japanese form to the Caulfield Cup for your punters, I mean, he's still anywhere from $17 to $20. I think at that price, he's an each way chance in a race that's going to be probably devoid of depth. I mean, I think you'll be able to find a winner in 3 or 4 picks.
So is there a bit of perhaps Admire Racti about him, similar style, coming straight into the Caulfield Cup?
Yeah, look, I mean, I hope he's as good as him. I mean, his form would suggest coming here that he's got a very similar profile. Admire Ratke was probably a horse that had more of a 1.5 mile profile than 2 mile, but look, his last couple of runs in Japan, he come out of they ran 3:12 in a 2 mile race in Japan. I mean, it was they smashed the track record. So he's a pretty smart horse on his day.
All right, now we've got 60s Groove, Garcia and Red Cardinal all arriving this Saturday, and got something to unveil here with the TopBetta merchandise. We're joining forces, as you know, with Australian Bloodstock. Jamie, you want to show this one?
Well, we're very fortunate that the team at TopBetta have got behind our Spring Carnival campaign. So there's a joint venture there between Australian Bloodstock and TopBetta. So all of our connections at Werribee, which will be Andreas Voller and his team, his horses, and obviously Darren Weir and the team with Admire Juice will all be branded up with the Australian Bloodstock and the TopBetta logo and all the merchandise. Obviously Red Cardinal, he's the horse that Andreas is bringing across from Germany, so he's currently 20 to 1. He's a horse that I think is probably our best chance in the race. He'll run in the Herbert Power. Provided, look, they're all in quarantine, ready. They board the aircraft tomorrow. They arrive in Melbourne on Saturday. So provided they travel well, and there's no better travellers or horses than Andre, so I'd be quite confident that he could run your race.
Perfect, all right. And Garcia in 60s Group?
60s Groove is a little bit behind. He had a little setback in Germany. He just knocked himself, so had a little bit of filling and a fetlock. So he's still in full training, but we probably just missed the boat with regard to a Melbourne Cup. He needed to win a race to qualify, so he's probably more likely to run at the back end of the Carnival in some of those races at Sandown. Just see how when he gets here, we'll assess him. But Garcia, he'll run in a... obviously there's no betting for these races yet, but he'd be a really good hope. There's a 1800 metre race, I think I mentioned it last week, on Melbourne Cup Day. So it was a race we won with Salon Soldier. It's a good prize money race, and these European horses, they get here against our sort of 1800, 2000 metre horses. They profile very good in those races.
Oh, perfect. And just finally, last week you gave us a very good push out wide for Raiden at Scone, who won... well, very, very well. What did you think of that run, and where does he go now? Because he looks a horse with perhaps a bit of talent who's just starting to get it together. He's
an exciting horse. I mean, he's a very well-bred colt. We fortunately didn't pay what they paid for him as a yearling. It was a $430,000 yearling. He's by Foxwedge out of a very good broodmare. So he's got the pedigree behind him to continue to improve. We just thought he'd win the other day. I was surprised he got out the $3 odds. So that was a bonus. And I think Chris now, he may get another run at the provincials, and then we'd like to get him there's a couple of nice races, midweek races, and he could be a horse in probably the autumn for the provincial championships.
All right, so now looking out wide just to finish up, obviously Monday with the public holiday racing, we've got Warwick Farm, Ducan, Princess Posh and Hallelujah Boy, Mr. Tyndall and General Seapoint, Musselbrook and Bannatyne de Chuka. Can you give us a push for any of those?
I would say to you, Ducan, the form around the Newcastle Cup here has been top shelf. I mean, you've only got to look at the top 3 and that have come...
the race on Saturday, the Group 3, yeah.
Absolutely. So Ducan was needing the run. I think he'll run very well. I haven't seen a market yet, but he'd be an each-way chance, definitely. Princess Posh is flying, so again, haven't done the race, but wherever she goes next, she'll run well. And Hallelujah Boy's a Japanese horse. We're just having a bit, just trying to work him out. Like, he works super. He disappointed when he went to Caulfield, but he did pull up. He come like a few of these horses recently. They go to Caulfield and they pull up to scratchy. The track's so firm. So he worked terrific the other morning. I would say that he would probably be a betting proposition, whatever race he's in, because he worked. We think he's better than this grade.
Perfect. All right. Well, some leads in there for Monday as well. Massive weekend ahead, and to kick-start it off, we've got double profit on races 1 to 3 at Moonee Valley on Friday night. So make sure you get involved in that and get yourself set for a big weekend. Jamie, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure, mate.
All the best for the weekend, and we'll join you again next week.
Absolutely.